And then one thing leads to another.
It always does.
Which eventually leads to you know what.
Well, I do know what, and I don't like it.
If you do.
You can hardly blame us.
I believe you. I don't. Of course, there are exceptions.
Yes, always exceptions.
People being people.
But don't people make the rules in the first place? Democracy being what it is?
Yes, but people also make the exceptions, and sooner or later, everybody thinks they're the exception.
Everybody.
Not in the beginning, no. But as time goes by, after a disappointment here, an inconvenience there, people start to take a different view, and then they declare their exceptionality.
Well, are they right or are they wrong?
Well, if most people agree, or it seems like most people, well, then they're right. If not, then they're hypocrites. But we can't complain. In a democracy, we get the government that we deserve. Jefferson said that.
So each rule has its exceptions.
Eventually, yes. Including that one. It's a paradox.
Confusing. So how do we decide which is best, the rules or the exceptions?
For me, it depends on the day of the week.
What does the day of the week have to do with it?
Well, practically nothing, but it offers clarity, which is good in the times of uncertainty.
Excuse me.
Pardon?
Excuse me.
No one accuses you.
Excuse me.
Amuse you?
Oh, no, really, that's not my responsibility. Surely you can amuse yourself. You seem as if you might be capable. Besides, I'm talking to my colleague right now.
I said, excuse me.
Well, why? What have you done? Something shameful, indiscreet? At least let it be embarrassing.
I was sort of eavesdropping.
Eavesdropping is inexcusable, sort of or not. And so you are not excused.
Perhaps if I explain. I was just standing here, and I couldn't help but overhear you. Your conversation sounded as if it could be interesting, and I thought I might like to join you.
Oh, you did? And what precisely about our conversation piqued your interest?
Well, quite honestly, I really couldn't make out much of what you were saying because of the masks.
Because of the what?
The masks.
The flasks.
The masks.
I was catching a hint of what he was saying before, but now he's lost me.
Maybe he's not from around here.
Oh, good point. I don't know why I didn't pick up on that earlier. My dear friend, it appears that communication has failed us. I know you've tried, and I've tried. And you've tried again, and I've tried again, but still, nothing. However, an explanation has been suggested to me. You are perhaps a stranger from a distant land, and I bid you welcome.
I live 2 streets over.
Sir, could you give us a profile, please? A smile, perhaps. Now a frown.
And now that funny look that people have just when they're about to sneeze.
No, I'm sorry. Your face is strange to me.
To me, too, it's odd.
Yes, you have a strangely odd face. I suggest you keep your mask on it. Please, go closer.
I was just trying to be helpful by giving you a better look. What's wrong with that?
What day is it?
Saturday.
There are rules that must be obeyed. Social distancing, particularly when you're not wearing a mask.
I'm obeying the rules. Look, we're 6 feet apart.
The bare minimum. That's like bragging about scarcely living within the law. I, for one, think that we can do better. Far better.
I'm sure you can do further better than that. And further better still. No, that's too good. A little worse, please. Perfect. So, now that we are all appropriately distanced, may I join your conversation?
Well, that depends.
On what?
On whether you will be wearing a mask.
Well, what was all this distancing business about then? You can't have a proper conversation while wearing masks. We've just proven that.
Eustace and I were just now having a perfectly fine conversation while wearing masks. So perfectly fine that you asked to join it.
What's he saying?
I said, Eustace and I, just now, were having a perfectly fine conversation.
No. It's no use. I can't understand a word you're saying. You are using words, aren't you? Because if you're not, that could explain things.
I'm using words.
Of course, even if you were using words, they're of little use unless they're in some sensible order. Complete sentences are helpful, but not entirely necessary. And they don't have to rhyme either. You needn't do any of that on my account, but please, do make sense.
I'm making sense.
Maybe the problem is with your punctuation.
No. You are being deliberately obtuse.
Something about a debilitated moose?
Ah! This conversation is a waste of time. Period.
Agreed! Exclamation point.
You heard what I said. Just that. You heard what I said.
I made all
Available evidence suggests that you understood what I said.
I made a lucky guess.
Picking up on our earlier perfectly fine conversation, why don't we put it to a vote?
All right, I vote for masks.
I vote against masks.
Eustace?
I'm undecided.
You called for a vote without knowing what your vote was?
You surprised me.
How did we surprise you?
I expected to hear from one side and then the other, and then maybe the other again, with maybe some questions in the middle there.
The networks were busy.
All right, if it's a debate you want, it's a debate you'll get. I go first. Wearing masks is a matter of civic responsibility.
Wait a minute. You can't argue that people should be wearing masks while not wearing a mask yourself.
This is an exception.
What's the exception?
I have something important to say.
Well, then I'm claiming an exception too, because I also have something important to say.
Well, no, you don't, and so you can't.
How is that fair?
It's the rules.
Do you understand any of this?
Perfectly.
You know, I don't even know why we're having a debate. The polite thing to do would be to accede to my preference as your guest.
I'd hardly call you a guest. You're more of an interloper.
A little while ago, you said I was welcome.
Well, that's when I thought you were a stranger from a distant land, not the neighborhood mole.
All right. If what you intend to say is so important, say it.
There are many times when it is appropriate, in fact, even encouraged to wear a mask. When robbing a bank, for instance, or trick-or-treating, or umpiring a baseball game, or fencing, or snorkeling, or beekeeping, or playing Phantom of the Opera, or the Lone Ranger, or Zorro, or Michael Myers.
Please, how about this time and this mask?
Of course. It's just that some people occasionally find examples helpful. But I'll move on. We live these days in a maelstrom of infections. They swirl about us in the air that we, human beings as we are, must breathe. But human beings as we are must do other things as well. We must feed ourselves and those who depend upon us. We must feed by gathering and growing and fishing and hunting. We must shelter ourselves and keep ourselves warm and protect ourselves against the vagaries of nature. And because we cannot deny our elemental humanness, seek the company of our kind. There's the rub. With all this infectious swirling in the air, how do we deal with all this talking and squawking and laughing and crying and cheering and blaming and coughing and sneezing and accusing and refuting. We wear the simple veil which announces to the world, me solum recling quas. That's Latin for leave me alone. And now I shall be alone as I yield the floor.
People who talk that much to explain themselves have got to be wrong.
Don't forget to wear your mask.
I won't forget. What do the rules say I'm supposed to do now?
Now you offer reasons as to why you should not wear a mask.
All right. I don't like wearing a mask because it makes my ears look funny.
That's it?
That's it.
That's ridiculous. That's not a reason.
Reasons in the mind of the disciple.
Eustace, what are you doing? Your ears don't look funny.
No, but I noticed they itched.
Even an unplanned victory is welcome. We win, 2 votes to 1.
I want a recount.
Okay, 1 and 1 is 2, and 2 beats 1. According to the rules of democracy and arithmetic, our victory is confirmed.
Maybe. Maybe not. Because I don't really feel very much like having any further conversation with you or with anyone else.
You know what Western thinkers have said about poor sports and democracy, don't you?
Another Jefferson quote?
No? Sir Michael Philip Jagger. You can't always get what you want.